10 tips for getting more out of your iPhone's stock camera app. It sounds obvious, but clean your lens. Sometimes you'll have fingerprints or other debris on the lens, which will obviously degrade the picture quality. Ditch digital zoom. Now, digital zoom isn't always bad 100% of the time, but basically what it's doing is it's cropping the image and enlarging that image. You can do that in post, and if you really want to get close, just get closer. Yes, get in close. By getting closer to your subject, you get better depth of field, you get to take advantage of that f2.2 aperture on the iPhone 6s's camera, and you get a higher quality image of your subject. But like I said, digital zoom isn't always bad. I like to use it to zoom in and lock focus. And what I mean by that is that I will zoom in using digital zoom, and then it allows me to really focus in on a specific subject in the frame. And then I can just zoom back out. I can adjust the exposure and then take my picture knowing that it will be focused directly on the subject that I want it to focus on. Next up, you want to adjust the exposure. Now just tap to focus, and then you can drag your finger down like this to underexpose. And if you want to overexpose, just drag your finger up like that. Now you can also lock focus and exposure at the same time by tapping and holding on your screen. You'll see the AEAF lock. And this will lock both focus and exposure, although you can still adjust the exposure as you wish. And as you move the frame around, you'll notice that the exposure does not automatically change because it's locked, but if I tap again and unlock it, now you see the exposure change. Movement while taking photos can be detrimental to your final image, which is why I like using the volume buttons while shooting with the stock camera app, because what the volume buttons will allow you to do is to invoke the shutter without actually touching the screen. So you can just press the volume down button like this and take photos. Now for even less movement, you can use your EarPods remote control to invoke the shutter as well. Pretty cool. Now, if you're really concerned about movement, you should probably invest in one of these smartphone clamps that allow you to connect your iPhone or other smartphone to a tripod. Now, if you have a moving subject that you're trying to capture, you should use burst mode, and that's invoked by just holding down the shutter button like this. And once you complete your photo or your burst, then the Photos app will automatically identify the best photos within that burst. And then lastly, you should consider using HDR. I like to use the auto HDR because the iPhone can intelligently determine when it needs to use high dynamic range. And basically what this will do is it will shoot 3 different photos at 3 different exposures, one underexposed, one at normal exposure, and one overexposed, and then combine those 3 photos to give you the most ideal final image. Now, whether or not you should use HDR will largely depend on your lighting and the scene that you're capturing, which is why I recommend for at least beginners to use auto mode and let iOS decide for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is Jeff with 9to5Mac.